Wow, John, that's a amazing flannel. And you're still in my house. But you know what? I got another question. That's why you're still here. What is AI? Or at least our current version of AI?
Okay. Yeah. So when most people are talking about AI, they are referring to either neural networks or large language models. Most people are referring to language models right now. Neural networks can more generally be applied to things like reinforcement learning, which is separate from language models. But let's discuss language models because that's what most people are interested in. Basically, you can think of the architecture of a language model, at least originally, being very, very similar to the way that a computer works. You have an encoder, a transformer, a decoder, and then some kind of predictive mechanism. So, for example, there's things like attention heads that are used to distinguish context among words. But the idea is basically that you have inputs of text, gets split up, cleaned up, converted into numbers that a computer can understand. That's the encoding process. That gets stored into a vector or a matrix. Passes through a transformer, gets decoded at the end. That decoding process turns it back into human interpretable language, and then the attention head works to figure out what the next word is going to be. So how do we figure out what the next word is going to be? Well, basically it's through the idea of curve fitting with Bayesian inference. So what that means is that every data point that we have, because when you store it into a dimensional vector, right, you're going to use concepts like Euclidean distance, for example, and cosine similarity to figure out how similar words, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the idea is that we have probability distributions that get mapped to each point to figure out what the next one's going to be. So encoder-decoder models were how they started off. Now, some models, like I believe ChatGPT, for example, is an encoder-only model, and some are decoder-only model. Like I think, the newer versions of BERT are decoder-only. But yeah, that's pretty much what AI is. Now, discussing neural networks more generally, very quickly, the idea is that you have basically an input layer, hidden layer, and output layer. The hidden layer modifies the inputs, and so you see that that's very similar to, the conceptually the idea of a large language model.
Wow, John. Thank you for those insights. Also, there will be a video down there that was just recently made about the AI bubble. Thank you, everyone. Bye.